What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. I'm your host, Max Torres, publisher and lead editor of Ducks Digest, covering the Oregon Ducks for Sports Illustrated on Fan Nation. We got a huge episode of the pod today. I feel like I'm saying this every time, but man, I am super excited for this episode. Today's guest on the podcast, we got 2022 Oregon linebacker commit Devon the Jet Jackson from Burke High School in Omaha, Nebraska. Devon, how we doing, man? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing well. Just it's kind of cold. It's starting to get cold here. I think yesterday was like 30 something, so it's starting to get cold. But I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great, man. We were talking earlier. It's another rainy day here in Eugene, Saturday morning, but it's game day, man. You can't complain on game day. Getting ready for Wazoo later tonight, so I'm super amped to just be in college football season. It's the best season. Um, so yeah, dude, I just kind of wanted to help tell a little bit of your story. Obviously, Ducks fans are super excited that you're committed to Oregon. And you're gonna you're joining a really stacked 2022 class for the Ducks here. So kind of just where I wanted to start it off, getting to know you a little bit better. You're at Burke High School in Omaha, Nebraska, but you've had quite the journey to get there. Just tell us a little bit about where you were born and what it was kind of like for you growing up.
So I was born in Urbana, Illinois, and then from age 2, I moved to Indiana. And then from age 2 to 9, I lived there, and then I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, because this is where a majority of my family. This is where my mom's side of the family is. So we moved here, and then I've been living here ever since. So I claim Omaha as my hometown.
Cool. Well, that's got to be kind of a crazy journey, moving around like that. But what's interesting to me with this Oregon class and the way that Mario Cristobal has recruited since he got to Eugene, it's very national, right? You got the Oregon O. Anywhere you go in the country, people are going to recognize that thing. A lot of people, when they come to Eugene, I think they're kind of taken aback just with the big time athletics and the small town feel, right? It's a college town. I personally have never been to Omaha. You were telling me how it's cold. Just what's it like over there? Tell us a little bit about the town for people who don't know it.
I ain't gonna lie, it's boring, but I mean, you got football, you got sports, and I mean, that's really it. I'm not gonna lie to you. But Nebraska, they got Nebraska as their football team. There's no professional teams here. Like that's really it. And my dad, even before the recruiting process, like he was like, "You're not going to go to Nebraska. I don't care what happens. You don't care if you're a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, no star. You're not going to Nebraska because it's just go see the world." And that's what kind of both my parents drilled in me. Like there's more to the world than just your hometown. Like some people want to be the hometown hero, which is cool, but it's like your college is supposed to be like in the experience, right? So you can't really get that full quote unquote experience of college if I feel like you just stay somewhere that you already know and recognize. So I actually was like, at first I was like, I don't get why y'all doing that, but now like actually being here now I get why. And I honestly never want to go to Nebraska. Like no. But I mean, yeah, so it's just sports, and like I said, that's really it from my hometown.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely get the idea of pushing your boundaries and checking out new spots. I mean, I was in college not too long ago, and I had the opportunity to go to school close to home, but took a leap and went to Gonzaga. If you can see that flag up there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally feel where you're coming from, man. And now that you're at Burke, your senior year, I feel like the schedules are a little bit different between college, high school, NFL. Are you still playing in your senior season, or is it wrapped up?
Unfortunately, it wrapped up last week. Um, so the third round played last night, and I wasn't in it because I unfortunately lost in the second round. But um, I personally, honestly, I think I had a decent season. Um, there were a lot of games where I felt like I could have done better. But looking back on my film, my dad's like, you did a great job. Like you did some good things, but I don't know. I just feel like I have to grade myself harder than what other people might grade me, because it's like, one, I missed last year because of COVID. My state was on some BS. So what happened with that? So I'm in OPS, is Omaha Public Schools, and that's the biggest football district in the state. There's 7 teams in it, um,
Mhm.
and everyone else. So like there's other districts like Millard and Bellevue and all these other districts. They're like they wanted to play and they got to play, but OPS canceled our season. And when they thought, since we're the biggest district, they're going to cancel like we did, but they didn't, and they didn't want to look bad, so they just canceled our season. So it was like, so literally half the state got to play, but we didn't, which is kind of suck. And I actually live in an area where one of those schools get to play, so I could like literally look outside my house and like see their stadium lights. And oh man, last year sucked. It was horrible. But going back to, like I said, I had to grade myself harder because I missed a whole year. So I feel like how kick the rust off and get my mojo back to who I was. But I mean, all in all, we went 8-3, and for someone that missed a year, going 8-3 is not too bad. We're also district champs, so it wasn't a bad season, but I guess what the mistakes that I made during the season, correct them in the off season, and hopefully when I get to Oregon, just become a better player in general.
Everyone's going to be, their own harshest critic. So I don't think you're alone in that regard, man. Not to, harp on, the tough times, but you talk about having your season canceled. I just wanted to stay there for a second during the pandemic. Just, I feel like that challenge that, it wasn't just you, a lot of people across the country, unfortunately had the same faith. I believe that was a similar situation in Oregon with Keith Brown. If you've met him, he's a linebacker for Oregon.
Yeah, yeah, I met him. Yeah.
What the question I have for you, man, is just what was it like for you mentally, going through that progress by that process, and obviously it was a tough time, but how do you think that you were able to take advantage of that situation and grow from it, as an individual and as an athlete?
I think it taught a lot of people um, what you really want. Like, some people just play football because they're bored. Some people do it because they were always good at it, so they were just like whatever. And some people like really love this game, and they trying to go to the top. Like, they trying to eventually get paid for this. Like, really get paid for this. Um, and so I think it separated those type of people. The people that just like, I just did this for fun, they probably never picked up football ever again. And there's some people that just like, they were good at it. They might have worked out here and there just to stay in shape because they were just used to it. And some people like really worked, because they didn't want to. My mindset, because I didn't want to be a step behind everybody else in the country that got to play. So I have to do my best to try to keep up with it, even though we all know it's not going to be the same as playing a regular season and all that. But you just got to do the best you can with what you got, and that's really what I had to do. Like, I have a weight room in my basement, and I pretty much like lived down there when I was quarantine and COVID, all that. So, and I feel like I had to do. Like, for me, what I did, I had to like stretch a lot. Because flexibility is key, and core work, because nothing, you won't your body won't be as strong as it is without a strong core. So I did stuff like that, but like, yeah, you got to get over it, and like I said, keep pushing, then you'll get better at it.
I bet it's one of those experiences, it's tough in the moment, but I'm sure even now, since you were able to play your senior season, that you're able to kind of look back on it and say, that was tough, but I think I'm better for it, the way that you handled it. I definitely, I don't completely relate because I'm not a Division I athlete with, major college offers, but, just not being able to go to the gym sometimes for the longest time, and then being able to go, like, you just find a lot of kind of peace, just being able to do those little things is kind of what I was feeling like. But I think, Devin, we talked in the intro, your nickname is the Jet. And I feel like watching you on film, I definitely get that, right? You're always flying around, just screaming down the field on special teams as well. Just kind of wanted to ask you kind of where that nickname came from, because I know that you're also a track guy, and that, is pretty big for your versatility.
So I want to say my flag football team in Indiana, when I was a little kid, I feel like it started there. And um, I think the team I played for was like the Jets or something like that. And it just kind of stuck because I was faster than everybody. I've been faster than everybody pretty much my whole life. Um, but it's actually funny because I wasn't originally supposed to be a track kid. So when I moved to Omaha, I was a baseball kid. And that's really all I did. So I played baseball before I played football and ran track. A lot of people don't know that. So when I moved here, it was over the spring, summertime, close to that area. And my mom missed the baseball cut. And she was like, well, I can't do baseball no more, because I got to wait till next year. And then she put me in track and won every single race. Didn't even know what I was doing. And then the Boys and Girls Club is, the little league stuff they have here. They saw me run track. It was like, have you ever played football before? And my mom and dad was like, nah, he hasn't played yet. And that's how I even got started in football. So really, I've been doing football and track the same amount of years my whole life. So it's actually going to be weird because a lot of people also ask me, are you planning on running track in college? And it's like, I don't know how to answer that because, people run track and play football, but those guys are normally like running backs, receivers, maybe corners. Like, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I never heard no linebacker running, 100 times,
I
doing
haven't
all that.
either.
So it's like, they try to put, 10, 15, maybe even 20 pounds on me and then try to run track. I don't know how that's going to work, but, I'm just a 17-year-old kid who doesn't, specialize in that time of stuff. So I got to tell people we'll see what happens in Oregon, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, wow, there's a lot of great stuff to dive into there, man. I mean, you talk about, not even really transitioning on your own from baseball to track, but I was gonna say those are both spring sports, right? So I can
Mm-hmm.
see why there would be some overlap there, or I guess lack of overlap, because you have to choose between one of them. But you bring up an interesting point, man. Your 6'2", 207 range. I think a lot of people see that and they kind of think for a second, whoa, that's a linebacker. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously a little bit on the lighter side for the college level. But I'm kind of curious with you, man. Obviously, speed at a linebacker is so tremendously valuable in today's game. So, have your conversations kind of been like with the staff with regard to that? Because I feel like it's an interesting balance to manage. To obviously, you want to get in the weight room with Coach Feld, add some muscle and all that, but they don't want to lose that speed that's made you so special.
I mean, I talked to all the coaches about it. It's not necessarily let's just throw on a bunch of weight just because but because both my parents went to college, both my parents went to the University of Illinois, and they told me like I think they said something like the first year 15 or something like that, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
they naturally gain 15 pounds. I don't know what the saying is, but
I guess for
and
the freshman 15, I think is what
yeah,
it's called.
that's what it's called. Yeah, and it's like that may happen to me, but then again, they don't want to force that weight upon me because I mean, like you said, there's not very many linebackers that run a 10.54 and 100. So I guess it's just natural weight, to see what my body can hold. Because let's just use for example, there's no need to throw on 230 pounds in my body. First off, my body can't handle that, and second of all, why would you throw on 230 pounds and I end up running like an 11.2 when I'm supposed to run a 10.5 or 10.6? Like it just obviously Oregon, as they specialize in that kind of stuff, guys that actually know what they're talking about. But even from my mindset, that's like that doesn't make any sense. So I think it's just natural weight and just kind of like we'll see what happens. How much weight can my body hold to be successful?
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely be tracking that. I feel like it's like I was saying, an interesting aspect of kind of the whole equation, right? And finding the right fit for you as far as that goes. So yeah, we've talked a little bit about, your upbringing, some high school stuff, but I'd say let's dive into some Ducks, right? That's who you're rocking with. You're committed to Oregon. I remember the day that you committed actually was when Oregon played Stanford on the road, I believe, October 2nd, because
Yes,
I was at
sir.
that game with my family because I'm from the Bay Area, so I was hanging out with them a little bit before. But then I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm watching the clock here because Devon's gonna announce his decision. So that's the biggest question, man. This is my first time talking to you. Why was it Oregon? Why did you feel like that was the place for you?
It had everything I needed. Um, all the coaches, I felt like they meant what they said. Especially at the very end of recruiting, the weekend, whatever. You talked to Coach Cristobal in his office and whatnot, and it just felt genuine. And both my parents were college athletes. My dad actually played football at the University of Illinois. He was part of that 2001 or 2002 Big Ten championship season. He tells me he was the 32nd best player in the country. I still got to look that up to see if he's lying or not.
In
So,
college?
uh, coming out of high school, so
Oh, okay.
today's world, he would have been a 5-star athlete. Then my mom asked so I go to the same high school my mom went to. So she still has a record up for 100, 200, and 4x1. And my dad, so like the safeties and the position rooms. My dad was a safety, so he's actually on that back wall for the safeties room, which is pretty cool. And my mom, I think, had like the top 10 fastest indoor 60 time at the University of Illinois still. So I have an athletic background, which part of the reason why I'm so fast. And even coaches ask me where does the speed come from. Don't answer that because you're gonna start an argument. But yeah. And there's another story. Sorry to go off pace, but
No, go for it, man.
my dad grew up in Corvallis, Oregon. So I think
Okay,
it's
local
funny. Yeah,
ties.
yeah. So he what's the school? I feel like I say it wrong. Crescent or
Crescent
what's the
Valley?
high? Yes, yeah, that one. My dad went to that one, and I just think it's funny. He's like, man, I'm in Eugene. He swore up and down he wasn't gonna come back to Oregon, and then 20 years later, I choose to go to Oregon. He's like, I just think that's funny how it's a whole circle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, go back to what you said. I mean, I like everything that they have for me. Um, it gives me an opportunity just to play and to grow as a player and put me in a position to go on to the next level. Education wise, and they're off the charts, and they make sure they're on it. And like I said, it just really had everything for me. And like person like Avante Dickerson is someone who I kind of talked to. He
Another
grew up.
Omaha guy.
He went to West Side, and actually we played West Side. And unfortunately they ended my season, so it was like he went
Oh
to a pretty
man.
good he went to a pretty good school, so I'll give him that. But yeah, just talking to him like, okay, you're an Omaha guy. How did you adjust? Coming to Oregon, way out here, and like, and he told me some good stuff that I felt like he really meant what he said. And all in all, why if Oregon checks up off your boxes, then why go see anywhere else? Like I know other guys be like, oh, I like this place, but I'm just go somewhere else just cause. Like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. Oregon, I feel like it's home. I love the people here. They or there, I should say. They were super nice. Just come on, Devin, come to Oregon. Just they were just nice people, and like I said, I just like the environment. And then that's really why I chose Oregon.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I hear that from a lot of recruits, when I ask them that question, it checks all the boxes. It's got the facilities, the coaching staff, the development, academic support, kind of whatever it is that you need. So definitely happy for you that you found a fit there. I got to ask about the staff. I mean, Ken Wilson, he's just recruited this position at such a high level. You talk about guys like Noah Sewell, who's just on a tear every game. It feels like Justin Flo looked really good at the beginning of the season, and unfortunately went down with an injury. But I feel like seeing him play alongside guys like Mace Funa, you see a lot of potential and a lot of high level play at that position. Just tell me a little bit about your relationships with the coaching staff, specifically Ken Wilson and Mario Cristobal.
Coach Wilson's my guy. I talk to him pretty much every week. Um, I personally can't wait to just recruit. Let's be honest, the recruiting process, they show like one side of you. Like let's be honest, they're not going to show you the true coaching side. during the recruiting process. Like that's just how it is. So I can't wait to see like what's it like just on a day-to-day basis, practice, film, and just that grind of becoming a better player with the coach that I feel like I really meshed with. Um, and I really like him. And like I said, Coach Cristobal, my dad really likes him. Like my dad's been around football for quite some time, so he can like sniff out who's faking, who's really real. And he was like, I'm not gonna tell you where you want to, where you should go, but he's real. So I was like, okay, then I'm coming to Oregon. So
Yeah, you got to have those good connections. I know such a big part of the recruiting process is about building those relationships. Seeing yourself with the coaching staff that you feel comfortable with for the next couple of years. I mean, I hate to interrupt it real quick, but I know I said 15 to 20 minutes when we first started, but we're just getting so much awesome stuff. Do you have to be
you
anywhere?
good?
Are you okay if we got a little
Nah,
more time?
yeah, we good.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man. So yeah, just jumping back into it. The recruiting process is obviously, I mean, I feel like it can be kind of overwhelming. I've never been recruited, like I was kind of saying earlier, but just for you, Devon, growing up in Omaha, obviously, Nebraska, the Nebraska Lincoln's not too far away. Just what was it like for you managing the recruiting process? Because you got coaches blowing up your phone all the time. They're asking you to fly across the country to take these visits, and there's just so much that's asked of you. And like you said, you're a 17-year-old kid, and you're faced with this major decision.
Well, for me, my dad went through it before. I mean, he did everything that I'm going through before me, so he already had an idea. Obviously, 20 years, it does just different. Like, technology is, super different nowadays. But like the main like theme and scheme of things, like he already knew what was gonna happen. They gonna call you a bunch, they gonna text you a bunch, they gonna do this, do that. Then you gotta do your own personal research to see if that school fits for you. And another reason why I like Oregon, so like football will take care of itself, but I'm going to sports business, and the connections that they were just telling me that Oregon has. I mean, you already know because people are like, oh, it's Oregon, you got Nike, but it's way bigger and deeper than that. Which is I think is pretty cool, and help me with my career wise because football would take care of itself. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta help having, like you said, having your dad go through that, and he's able to give you some lessons and share some advice there. But like we were talking about earlier, with all the technology advancements that we've kind of seen, it probably looks a lot different than when he was getting recruited. You got flashy edits that are being sent your way all the time. I know this isn't Oregon, but one like visit kind of setup I always really liked was Bama, was like that 360 cam video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if you've seen that, but those are really
Yeah,
cool.
I've
I'd love
seen
to
that.
see
I've
Oregon do
seen that.
something like that. But kind of just one more question about, just kind of the recruiting process, and just, what it was like here in Eugene. What was it like for you when you stepped into the facilities for the first time? I know a lot of guys tell me they get greeted by, the screams of the staff, particularly Aaron Feld with the mustache. He was always,
Mm-hmm.
just a ball of energy. What was that like for you? That moment when you talk over the phone on the phone with the coaches, but that's really, I feel like, when you really get to meet them and see what it's really like.
Um, like I said, I loved all of it. That's why I'm, committed to Oregon. Um, I mean, just meeting all the coaches. So when I came, so we were on the elevator and we came down, and like all the coaches was there greeting us, like just saying welcome. And it was all the coaches, and I feel like at that moment I knew this was the spot for me. Like it's not just like there were some schools I would talk to, but it would be just strictly one coach. Nah, that's just normally okay. They recruit you, but like you wouldn't know the other coaches. Like the often, the receivers coach will say what's up to me, at Oregon, or like other school they wouldn't do that. Like you play deep, you play linebacker, you stick with the linebackers coach, the assistant linebackers coach, or whatever, and you stick to the DC. Like that's all you. That's all you're around, and it's like, okay, what if oh boy gets fired or whatever, and I want to feel comfortable here, and I don't know none of the other coaches. I'm a transfer. But this case wasn't with Oregon, so it felt like home meeting all the coaches, and like you said, the strength coach. You see him on TV, and even when I was at the game, that dude's always full of energy, and just that's also what you need because I can also see that he also feels full of energy, but all those coaches are going to push you to be the best you that you can possibly be. Um, and that's tough love too at the end of the day. And knowing myself, that's what I'm gonna need. And honestly, I feel like that's what every athlete is gonna need. Like you have the coaches that you feel comfortable with and you go to, but you also have those coaches that show you tough love, and you gonna arise to that, or you gonna break and fold. So, like I said, all in all, I really love all the coaches there.
Sounds like it was another total team effort by the Ducks with recruiting, with your recruitment, I should say. Being able to give you the whole picture and just put all that effort and show you all that love. I know that's been big for a lot of recruits. And then Devon, now I kind of want to do something a little bit different that I don't typically do with my interviews. Wanted to shift away from just exactly a firm focus on football. You're coming to a school like Oregon, one of the premier brands in college football. Everybody knows about it, and kind of with that, you develop a platform, right? You get all the social media followers. People know who you are. You go to the games as a recruit, and I'm sure people are saying hi and they recognize you. I kind of just wanted to give you an opportunity, Devon. You've been playing football your whole life, and doing track and just putting all this time into sports. What I kind of just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of maybe just speak about any issues that are important to you as an athlete, that maybe we don't hear about very much. That the media doesn't talk about too much, and the day to day.
I mean, for me, I don't really get a lot of like issues. Um, I'm not the biggest brand athlete yet, I should say. Um,
Hmm.
like I'll use my boy Kevin Coleman for example, who's actually in Oregon this weekend. Like for
Hmm. On the
him,
way.
his his brand is way bigger than mine. I'm just be honest. Like
Sure.
for him, maybe he has more problems with that. But for me, like even with the recruiting process, like there was only a handful of coaches that called me at a time. Like for example, when my recruiting process started, it started with Nebraska, like Iowa, Iowa State, K State, and like somebody else. And then it'll be like a different state, and it'll be like Michigan, Michigan State, um, and then like some of those Midwest schools. And then towards the end, it was like Arizona State. My final three: Arizona State, Miami, Oregon, then even Oklahoma is some like it was only a handful of coaches at a time that was calling me. So, like for me, like not yet. I didn't have like, oh my god, I'm just mentally drained and all that. Like, no, I just like I said, since it was only a handful calling me, like I just had big time management for everything. Like, okay, go to school, go to practice, all right, do homework, and after homework, you go and talk to these coaches, and then that's your day. Like, but for me, at the same time, though, I would say that like I said before, football will take care of itself no matter where I went. Like that's just it's football, something I've done my whole life. Everybody preaches just work hard and he got first and is stuff's gonna happen, but not every school provides after football, you know what I'm saying? And like not every school is gonna have a sports business program like Oregon, which I thought it was important to me. Um, So because football is going to end one day, you always got to keep that in mind. A lot of people, like even myself, I lose track of that sometimes. But football is going to end one day, and you don't know when that clock is up. Like you can be playing. I could play my first college game and mess up something, tear something, and I can never play football again. And I have to have an idea and like I said, and at least an idea of something what I want to do career wise. Like I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's like, oh, I play football and then I just don't know what to do with my life for the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm trying to find something like no 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 no. And honestly, Oregon doesn't allow you to do that. Like, okay, if football don't work out, we have somebody that what you went into that we can call on speed dial and get you a job opportunity here, 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 and it just like that. So That's what I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't have phrased it as an issue. I guess just more like a
Yeah,
topic or an area
yeah,
that maybe doesn't get a lot of attention. But I feel like that
yeah,
life after football is huge, right? Let's stay there for a
yeah.
second. I think so many times people see on social media, they'll see somebody transfer or they'll stop playing, and it's like they're just so quick to attack them. They're like, "Oh, you owe it to us to give us your everything. You committed here, you have a scholarship opportunity, so you're just like bound to it all, right?" But it's like
Hmm.
we're not the ones that are getting up at 5 a.m., going to these workouts, putting their bodies on the line every day,
Hmm.
and just going through all the stresses of being a college athlete. So that no, it's definitely a good topic to bring up. I mean, for you, obviously you have aspirations of being, a professional athlete. I'm just kind of curious, how do you manage that, aspect of life after football? How does that kind of factor in with regard to maybe what would be interesting for a career for you? Do you have any kind of early interests there? It's not kind of what sound anything that sounds cool there outside of football?
Like I've been saying, I think sportsman is the degree that the area I want to go into.
Hmm.
But you never know. Like I hear stories all the time. People change their majors two, three, four times. So it's a good. I think it's good for me to go in with an idea, but you just never know where your path leads you to. Um, but like I said before, football will take care of itself no matter where I go. So like I wasn't like when I even went on some of these visits, like I wasn't really looking for that because I can go anywhere. I can go to Nebraska and be good at football. Like that didn't bother me. But like I said, just focus on what you want to do life after football because let's say I stop playing football at age 30. Is your life gonna end at age 30, 35? Hopefully not. So you still got a whole chapter and then some of your life that you still have to do. And well, for you to do that, you gotta know what you want to do after football, like what you're interested outside of football, outside of sports. And for me, for these recent years, it's kind of been a struggle, like thinking about that kind of stuff because you're just focused on football, especially these, past 2 years, 3 years or whatever. The recruiting process kind of took a lot of your time, but now since it's over with and I'm almost done with high school. Like I have 5 weeks of high school left, and I'm almost done. And then I'm being enrolling early ish because I'm not. So I'll enroll in like March 28th, that second quarter, which is weird, but that's what I'm doing. So I still have a few. I still got rest of December after school, January, February, and really be whole getting to March to think about what I want to do with my life outside of football. And I think it would be good for me, like for those few months, because it's like, well, I can't go to the school and because I'm done with football. Like they won't allow you to do that. And while I'm stuck in Omaha, so I'm not at Oregon. So now it's like, okay, I'm studying the playbook and going to workouts and gyms and stuff. But now I really will take that time to, or even really now since football is over, to really think about what do I want to do with my life outside of football. So
Yeah, and I hope I didn't like put any pressure on you by asking that
no, no, no,
question. I'm
no.
just kind of trying to push myself a little bit in these interviews and kind
Yeah.
of dive into some different areas. Um, okay, and then yeah, because the timeline is definitely an interesting part of athletics today. I feel like it's totally sped up compared to what we saw maybe even 5 years ago, right? So
Hmm.
many people are going to college early and they're graduating early, and you kind of miss out on some of that high school experience. So I'm how did you kind of manage that decision when it came time, okay, I'm going to Oregon, but here's this opportunity to get there early versus getting to live out the rest of my high school experience.
It didn't bother me not one bit, if I'm being honest. Like for me, I'm a keep to myself type person. So there's only like a handful of people that I like really, really talk to. So like
Mhm.
people know me as like I was my nickname's the Jet, so they go, "Oh, the Jet plays. He's a good football player. He's really good at track." But like, there's only a handful of people that I feel like that really know me, which is okay, which I'm cool with. So it's like those people that I feel like they really know me, they know that me going to Oregon is the best for me, and they just want me to be successful. You know, so it doesn't want to be a problem for me. The only thing I was like, dang, I wish I would if I would have stayed, was break the 100 and 200 state record. I run a 10:54 at state, and the state record's a 10:41. So it's right there. So last year, even when I didn't get the record, I still got all class gold. But it was just like, dang, ah, I just dang it, I should have had that. So actually, I even knew I was leaving early then. Like I knew I did not want to stay my second semester like for a while. Like I just there was no point to why would I stay a whole 5 months of high school to break some records that even though I'm a football kid first, pushing to college. So it's like all grand scheme of things, I really don't care about these track times, and you might as well just get that head start on football because that's what you really want to do. Like I don't really necessarily want to go to the Olympics. I want to go to the NFL. So that's why I'm investing my time and extra, what I got to do into. So I had no, other than the breaking records, I really had no second thoughts of staying my second semester.
Cool to get that kind of insight into what the thought process is like for you. I know in high school, a lot of times I played football for a couple of years and then realized I wasn't really cut out for it like the varsity guys. But a lot of the times in high school you have to specialize in one sport. But fortunately for you, you were able to do football and track at a high level, which is I'm sure you've had a blast doing that. As we kind of wind down here, Devon, so it sounds like you're signing early and then enrolling early, but at a little bit later date in that
Yeah,
March kind
yeah,
of time frame.
yeah.
Just kind of wanted to ask you, since you are a dual sport guy and you've been playing sports for so long, what do you like about competing or just being a competitor? What's your kind of mindset like when it comes to that?
If it if you don't win, it wasn't good enough. But that's just me. Like if you almost win, that's not good enough. If even second place, like that's not good enough for me. Like even from that's not necessarily football. That's a game where it's more you win or you lose. Is what it is. Like with track, you got first, second, third, and whatnot, and even the lower levels, they try to give you ribbons and stuff like that for fifth and sixth, and I just think that's like pathetic. But that's just me. But I tried to get gold every race. Like my junior year of track, I think I got second one time out of every meet. I think I got
Wow.
second one time. Because I never wanted to lose. Like even in my house is competitive. Like I told you, my mom is a track, she was ran track. My dad played football, so like we'll even do like me and my dad was younger, we'd do like stupid stuff like I'll race you to see who put our seatbelt on first. I'll race you to the car so who put a seatbelt on first. Like we'll just do stuff like that to we just compete because we're just a competitive family. So like that's just competing and being competitive was just like I feel like it's just in me. Like that's just something I grew up with and something that I will hold to me until my athletic career is done.
That's an awesome backstory there. Especially given your family's athletic background, how there's more competing
Yeah.
even just outside of that. But yeah, Devon, I think that's all I have for you on this one. Before we get out of here, just wanted to give you a chance. We talked about it earlier, with brands and stuff. Where can people find more of you? Wanted to give you a chance to plug any social media where people can find you at.
Well, my Instagram is D1_Jet. That's my nickname. My Twitter is Devon the Jet 402. 402 is my area code and Devon the Jet. And even my Snapchat is I think is Devo_ the Jet because I couldn't think of nothing else. But those are my social media platforms. I guess you can find me and follow me at.
All right, there you go. That's where Duck fans there you can give Devon a follow on those social media platforms. If you want to find more of me, you can find me on Twitter at mtorresports. This episode of the Ducks Dish podcast will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, so you can get that multi-platform excellence. Usually is up on the podcasting apps first because it's a big file and it takes forever to get on YouTube. But I digress. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Oregon Football Max Torres, and head over to ducksdigest.com to find all your Oregon Ducks football, basketball, recruiting content. We got all of it for you there. a big thank you to Devon for coming on the episode today, joining me on the podcast. It was great getting to know him and get an insight into his life and, as a football player and getting recruited by the Ducks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.